89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio and your state's number one family radio station. Great morning to you. Thank you so much for tuning into the program today. I believe you're well and your household, is doing great also this morning. It's been a long and, amazing week. I want to believe it's the same, for you, on your side over there. But if that's not the case, don't worry. Everything will be well. Just hang in there and let's continue to hope for a better day. All right? Do not give up. Yes, giving up is the last option. So you shouldn't even get there at all. All right? Let's continue to encourage ourselves because definitely it will surely be well. This is a program where we take you through top stories making the rounds in our nation, Nigeria. For the day, we serve you the headlines first, and right after that, we take you through in-depth analysis to help you make sense of the stories in Nigeria for the day. My name is Ayo Emmanuel-Ojo, and I welcome you to the program. Let's start with the Punch newspaper. On the front page of the Punch for today, on page 45, Oyo Edo 10 orders to vote in August by-elections. That we have on page 45 this morning. And also on page 2, PDP BOT defies INEC, backs Makinde block for NEC meeting on page 2. And on page 45, outrage as NULGE reject Osun allocation transfer to APC chairman. You find it on page 45. And moving on to the top story and major story on the Punch for today, federal revenue agencies face shakeup as Tinubu sign tax bills. Customs and UPRC MDAs may cede tax collection to NSR. New VAT sharing formula begins on the 1st of January 2026. And just like I love us to do it on Fridays, we simplify it to the barest to ensure that the pepper seller on the streets, the shoemaker on the streets can even understand. And I believe that's one of the goal of the tax act right now, to simplify it to the barest so everyone can understand without any hidden charges or hidden billings here and there. We move on to the Guardian newspaper for this morning. On page 3, use presidential power to restructure Nigeria, create state police, Afenifere tells Tinubu. You find it on page 3 this morning. And on page 7, we have strengthened ICRC as engine room for infrastructure revolution, says Tinubu on page 7. On page 29, SAN slams federal government, alleges bid to divert Osun local government allocation. Now to the big stories on page 4 and page 5. Less for more. How erratic supply shortages band A household industries. How erratic supply short changes band A households and industry. There's this photo story here. There's a boat with band A written on it, and the BL coming around or coming out of the machine like a POS machine and going around, a man's neck. And on the other side, we have the disco, we have the NERC, hand in hand with a man in Agbada, even though we can't see the face of the man. And the caption says he should use his generator to supplement our supply or go to court. He should use his generators to supplement our supply or go to court. And so even amidst being on band A for a lot of people, there seems to be some form of short change, in here. You pay the price, you don't get the supply. So the cartoon says go to court. That's just it. On page 3, Senate turns heat on NNPCL. Over 201 trillion naira audit mess. On page 3. On page 6, cautious optimism as Nigeria treads new tax terrain from January 2026. On page 7, Falano asked AGF to drop criminal charges against free speech on page 7. On the same page, INEC to conduct by-elections to resume voter registration in August. On page 6, PDP BOT oppresses Anyanwo's ring statement as the court set September 22nd for the national SEC dispute on page 6. And finally, on page 30, Mawa links 90% of terrorism, violent crimes to drug use on page 30. Let's see if we have the Punch or the Nigerian Tribune already. Okay, we'll just take top stories on theguardian.com this morning. Tinubu reunite Wike Fubara Rivers leadership. We have the photo story here. Hopefully, it is what we think it is. Fubara in the picture, the president in the middle, and Wike on the other side. As expected, Wike, at the moment captured, shaking hands with the president, and Fubara on the other side. In the picture, 6 killed. IED explodes in Imo Market. We have that in the news this morning. I worked for almost 2 years without a sit down with the president, says ex-aide in the news this morning. And UN calls for restraint after deadly Kenya protests. And killer of Salome Adaidu sentenced to death by hanging. Police rescue 46 trafficked victims from Ghana to Nigeria. And that's all we can take this morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the program once again. If you're just tuning in, this is 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio. Remember, you can watch us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Wells Radio 893 FM fan page. Facebook.com/Wells Radio 893 FM fan page, and also on our YouTube page, Wells Radio 89.3 FM. Find us on TuneIn, find us on Radio Garden, and other streaming platforms with the name Wells Radio 89.3 FM. We'll take a break. When we come back right after the break, there's a lot to talk about the tax, the new tax bill in the nation today. So we're going to, concentrate a bit on that to further simplify it for you. However, we start with, say, a big story for the week, or any story that, pop out for us of all the great things and maybe not very good stories that happened in our nation, Nigeria, for this week. Stay with us. Don't go away.
We have changed the rule. We have changed some of the misgivings. We have opened the door for new economy, business opportunity. We are showing that Nigeria is truly, truly ready and open for business.
And modernizing the tax system means bringing more money for the development of the country. Today, you are signing these historic bills into acts of parliament. And I can tell you that even some of the states, when they see the outcome of what they are doing today, generations unborn will remember you.
With the magnanimity of the National Assembly, Mr. President, so the effective date will be January 1st, 2026 by the special grace of Almighty God. So we have full 6 months for both sensitization, planning, and also considering the fiscal year of the government. Because when you have this kind of change, it's not what you do mid-year, because if the application of law is better you start from the beginning of the year.
With consultations and the painstaking nature of the legislative processes that we've taken, I believe we brought out bills that seek the aspirations of Nigerians.
When the tax reform was brought in the House, it was like a mission impossible. And but we thank God, with the cooperation of all Nigerians, including the governors, And of course, particularly from the House of Rep, I want to express appreciation to Mr. Speaker for allowing us to take our time to do the needful.
This is really revisiting the social contract between the government and the people. In addition to that, these laws will promote Nigeria in terms of competitiveness. It's harmonizing the taxes that companies have to pay, reducing the burden of those taxes, and removing distortionary tax waivers and incentives.
We are in transit. We have changed the rule. We have changed some of the misgivings.
This system we have, you can summarize it as the tax tail wagging the business dog and progress dog. It was so bad that we're taxing investment, we're taxing capital of businesses, we're taxing poverty. Poorest people that should be receiving subsidy from government were made to pay taxes. And we had a system where things were so opaque and convoluted that if you had access, you can do so much business and not pay taxes. And then we have small businesses that are overburdened even disproportionately than large firms, just trying to survive. And everywhere they turn is one tax or levy. It's completely impossible. So that system was not sustainable, didn't take Nigeria anywhere. So the need for the reform, and this should have been done, to be honest, like 30 years ago. So there was, and that's why I'll give the credit to the president again and again. This is a real demonstration of political will, courage, and character. Because this thing got so heated at some point, and people were calling him all manners of names, we were blaming him. And some of the things we were blaming the man for, he didn't even know we put them in those bills. Because, of course, we can't sit with the president. You know, each time we try to give him an update, it's maybe 30 minutes. He can't go through 400. And he took all of that. There was not a moment that he blamed us for anything. So these bills, the tax, it's no longer a bill, the Nigerian Tax Act in particular, what we did was to repeal so many laws, including those that are older than Nigeria's independence, like the stamp duty laws. And then we said to ourselves, some of them are no longer even relevant. We got rid of them completely. Some are partly okay. We took the parts that are okay. And then there were new ones. And then we put all those together in one code, Nigeria Tax Act. The overriding principle is fair taxation. And fair taxation means don't tax poverty. Fair taxation means you shouldn't come in the way of progress. Allow businesses to invest, let them make prosperity and then share in their prosperity. Don't tax them ahead of time and increase their cost of doing business, increase their risk. So overall, this is a new day for Nigeria. I can't wait for the implementation to start, because once the implementation starts, people will see the impact immediately. It's not like first subsidy where they say, let's make the sacrifice and then we're hoping we'll see the benefit.
Right.
This benefit is going to be instant for majority of the Nigerian people.
We gather not just to mourn, but to honor, to reflect not only on a life well lived, but on a life that left deep and enduring footprints on the sands of Ayo State, history, and indeed Nigeria. Dr. Victor Ayo Emmanuel-Ojo was not a man you could summarize in one sentence. He was a scholar, a statesman, a technocrat, a man of deep conviction.
Today, we're also doing Baba another honor. As the first rector of Polytechnic Ibadan, that institution will now be named Emmanuel-Ojo Polytechnic Ibadan.
Welcome back to the program. It's very important that we start by listening to, that, especially from the horse's mouth, like we say, and then we then bring in analysis to help you understand. Let's start from Oyo State, and I take that as a very, very big story. When the announcement was made yesterday at the funeral event of the late Dr. Emmanuel-Ojo, the first rector of the Polytechnic of Ibadan, the governor made the announcement on Thursday and renamed the prestigious Polytechnic of Ibadan as Emmanuel-Ojo Polytechnic in honor of the late former governor. He made the announcement at the interdenominational funeral service held in honor of the deceased at the Obafemi Awolowo Stadium, former Liberty Stadium in Ibadan. the capital of Oyo State. And since the announcement, left that venue, to the media space, it has generated all kinds of reaction. Whether being an alumnus of the institution or resident of Oyo State or just being a Nigerian, it has, further, exposed Nigerians to more reaction as to the basis of renaming certain monuments or, national treasure after, Nigerians. I remember sometimes in 2012, when the former President Goodluck Jonathan named University of Lagos, the popular UNILAG, after MKO Abiola, and the acronym of MAULAG, became a thing. And I know that, UNILAG graduates at the time didn't have it. And eventually the federal government turned back on that. And if the federal government even didn't turn back at the time, it wasn't looking as though UNILAG as an institution was even going to have it to change the name of the school from UNILAG to Moshood Abiola University of Lagos at the time. Now the Polytechnic of Ibadan to be called Omololu Olunloyo Polytechnic. I saw a flyer yesterday. I can't remember. I didn't capture who made the flyer, whether a group or something, but they named different things that it can cause for them, confusion for your academic records, and so on and so forth. But let me bring you into the show this morning officially before you weigh in on this story, and then we get to the flip side of talking about the tax bill in Nigeria. Mr. Olale Konsani joins me in the studio today. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Chief.
Good morning. How are you doing? And how was your week?
How about you?
I'm very well. Yeah. Thank you so much. So let's start. In your state, we have a new rebranded Polytechnic of Ibadan, Omololu Olunloyo Polytechnic.
Well, thank you. The truth of the matter is that I wish the governor well in terms of pulling this through. I didn't go to that school, but a lot of people who went to that school carried this particular torch, saying, oh, my school is different. And it's the same for people who attended the Yaba Tech in Lagos.
Tech, yeah.
They tell you, oh, well, I might have gone to a Polytechnic, but my Polytechnic is special. There's something about the Polytechnic Ibadan. It's the only Polytechnic Ibadan that carries the
yes.
Polytechnic Ibadan. All other polytechnics are just polytechnic or wherever.
Yeah.
I am not sure the people who went to that school are going to take it lightly with the governor. He must be totally incorrigible at this particular point to sail through with this particular plan, because I know too well that immediately he announced it yesterday, people started saying all sorts of things online, and that is just online. People are still going to go the physical way. They may not protest angrily, but they are still going to go to his office, and there are going to be gatherings around the school. Like you rightly said, 2012. When there was Occupy Nigeria and Goodluck Jonathan was trying to placate people of Nigeria, especially people in Lagos, he did what, in his opinion, was going to be accepted by the people, but it turned out to even pour more fuel into the fire, and that was to name the University of Lagos after Moshood Kashima Abiola MKO, and he named it then Moshood Abiola University, MAU. Well, when people wanted to be mischievous, they didn't say MAU, they said MAU. That sounded somehow in the heads of everybody then. And
I mean, most universities, you put it in acronym.
Yes.
And so that's it's just what it is.
I don't mind. People could be funny. They don't say who are you, they say who are you. People just wanted to be funny there. Even who are you, it's not who.
Yeah,
so people just wanted to be funny then. And the president of that time said, I'm not interested in this. If you don't want it, let it be. But Seyi Makinde is another type of person. I wouldn't say he's stubborn, but he's someone who fixes his mind on something and, sticks with it. So how the whole students and even current students of the school want to make him change his mind is something I'm strongly to see. But for him it's not going to be an easy walk in the park because, there is going to be some sort of resistance. In fact, huge resistance is going to come his way.
Let's look at the this is not the first time. I know there's a park along, I think, Lakia, named after Dr. Omololu Olunloyo.
Yes.
And I also read something somewhere where someone said it could be something else. Maybe not the Polytechnic of Ibadan. But I'm asking now on okay, Baba being the former or the first principal or first rector of that
they don't
institution.
even call it the Polytechnic of Ibadan. They call it the Polytechnic Ibadan.
Ibadan, yeah, with a comma. There's a comma before Ibadan.
Yes.
Yes.
And that gives them special pride because other schools are Polytechnic of Ibadan.
Is this going to change? Is this going to change anything about the institution? I know an alumnus of the school also made a reaction as to some of the campuses of the institution. I mean, I know most of colleagues in the industry who went to some studied mass comm, I think in Shaki and in other areas, and at the time it still used to be a central name, the Polytechnic of Ibadan, but Shaki campus and this campus. But currently, even all of the campuses now bear different names. I think even now it's, stand as a whole institution all by themselves, And so, they started by, cutting some people off, and then now you are changing our whole identity. Do this hold anything for the academic record?
The truth of the matter
whatsoever?
Is it's not going to change anything as regards the quality of what's been taught there and the academic records of people who went there. Schools have been changing names for long. Primary schools, secondary schools, tertiary institutions.
I mean, when we look at Obafemi Awolowo University,
it was University of Ife.
You see those who say, "Oh no, I went to university." I know someone who said, "I went to Ogun State University
not Osu.
and not OU."
I went to Osu.
So that's another
there.
there.
But the truth of the matter is all about ego.
Okay.
If you are to gather in a place where you want to celebrate your whole school, all of you are going to sit down in the same hall. So it's just about ego. The University of Ibadan can become whatever university tomorrow, and everything's not going to fall. It depends on how calculated and how risk averting the current visitor is. The governor or president is the visitor of the school. Be he the federal school, depending on be the federal school. If the person is somebody who is stubborn and doesn't look back, trust me, go to learn. But if it's somebody who says, I don't want trouble, he might have a change of heart. But the current governor of Ayo State, looking at who he is not wired like that. So all I can say is that I wish it for them well.
Okay, so maybe someday, hopefully, if that eventually happens, the University of Ibadan takes something else.
Maybe like concerning university.
But how about retaining? Because I know a friend of mine who is also an architect said something about preserving our national monuments and their real identity. And some of the reasons why some of them may not be, recognized as UNESCO sites, because we eventually take out the original. For instance, Makbo Hall being one of them. If you look at the roof now, at least it still carries the 21st century look, which eventually takes out the original identity of the site, which, makes it what it's to, rather than just maintaining it and fixing it as it should be. How about we look at some of these institutions in that regard, keeping their original names? And so maybe some section of the institution that is also quite prominent, the office of the rector, so building, rather than change the name of the institution and then removing the original creation.
You are making absolute sense to me. And that is why you find it difficult to put a lot of things through in the national community. We are watching an international satellite TV in your studio, and just moments ago they were doing an advert as regards a particular city in North Africa. And despite the fact that they have modernized a lot of things, they are still trying to tell us that, okay, this particular item has been here since whatever, 200, 300, 400 years ago. And they're still trying to inject the old, they're trying to inject new, but into the old. Not that you are scrapping the old for the new. What you said is something that, 2008, when they said they wanted to renovate them, I didn't even know they were going to go that far. I thought it was going to be about bracing the structures and, solidifying the structures for that. But it was a total overhaul. It was like building it all over again. You have lost the identity already. You are never going to get it back again. And that is something we should not be doing. You can say, okay, this is the rector's office. Why not build a building? Construct a building in the school and say, okay, in memory of the first rector and former governor of the state, we are naming this rector's building after Omololu. That's still going to be fantastic. It's not going to create some sort of identity conflict. But right now, we are going to have the Polytechnic Ibadan. Well, we can do a lot. And The problem with our leaders is that they always do things without thinking deep. No insult intended here. But if you think deep, you carry everybody along. I mean, people would have raised all sorts of things that might lead to friction later on, and you would have ironed everything out without anybody knowing there is going to be some sort of conflict. But they just wake up on the wrong side of the bed one day and announce, far-reaching policies that will have consequences boomeranging. I mean, it shouldn't be. It just shouldn't be. I'm an old school person. I so much appreciate the hold, because if you know how to package yourself, the hold makes a lot of more sense than what we call the new today. And people all over the world, especially in foreign countries, talk of development, they have it. When they talk of Africa, all they want to see is something ancient, but still functional. So how can't we package our country, our economy?
That's our identity.
That is our identity. This is the first cradle of civilization. The Egyptian, civilization. So what I'm trying to say here is this. Give them something they are not used to. You want to attract people in New York and you are building skyscrapers. You can never get it, because everywhere you go is skyscraper. So we learn how to leave Ibadan, the city of brown roofs, to go to Congo to go and see brown roofs. You must be able to show me something that I am not saying where I am. That is what is going to attract you.
Attract me to
you want to attract me to, you're telling me to come and see bad roads. I see bad roads in Ibadan every day. So don't tell me that I should come and see exactly what I am saying here. Prepare something that is, when I'm around that particular place, I am going to be safe. And it's going to be something that I don't see regularly. That is what will make me come to your place. But you are destroying the hold for something new that is not even as new as what they have there, and you want them to come, it is never going to work.
All right. The question of rebranding and so on and so forth, that is also, it's not cheap. It comes with a lot of money. Rebranding.
Serious, man. Even if it's just signage alone.
Signage,
all the billboards, everything.
Across, north, south, and the middle belt and all of that characterize the Polytechnic of Ibadan. That's a lot. And all of that. I mean, the acronym automatically changed to, I think, OOP now.
OOP, yes.
OOP. All the best. We'll see where this will take us in the coming days. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we talk about the Federal Revenue Agencies face shake-up as Tinubu signed tax bill. Stay with us.
Give your child the gift of excellence at Junior's International School, Alafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. Are you searching for a school where top quality education meets care, love, and safety? A school where skilled professionals ignite young minds in an environment that stimulates learning, creativity, and moral growth? Do you desire a school that offers rich academic curricula designed to prepare your child for local and international examinations, opening doors to future success both within and outside Nigeria? At Junior's International School, we don't just educate, we discover and nurture each child's unique aptitude while molding them into highly productive global citizens driven by godly principles. Join us on the journey of raising tomorrow's leaders. Admission test into pre-nursery to year 5 holds on Friday, 1st August 2025. Venue, Junior's International School, Alafin Avenue, Oluyole Estate, Ibadan. Time 9 a.m. Admission forms are available online at www.juniorsinternationalschool.com or at the school premises. Junior's International School, Center of Excellence.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The general public is hereby advised to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Verify the licensing status of such schemes on these websites: www.cbn.gov.ng, www.nicom.gov.ng, www.pencom.gov.ng, www.sec.gov.ng, www.fsrcc.gov.ng. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call CBN 0817-665-7060, 0707-338-4828, SEC 0209-462-1168. Announcer, FSRCC.
Wells Radio, 89.3 FM, your preferred wholesome radio.
This system we have, you can summarize it as the tax tail wagging the business dog and progress dog. It was so bad that we're taxing investment, we're taxing capital of businesses, we're taxing poverty. Poorest people that should be receiving subsidy from government were made to pay taxes. And we had a system where things were so opaque and convoluted that if you had access, you can do so much business and not pay taxes. And then we have small businesses that are overburdened even disproportionately than large firms, just trying to survive. And everywhere they turn is one tax or levy. Was completely impossible. So that system was not sustainable, didn't take Nigeria anywhere. So the need for the reform, and this should have been done, to be honest, like 30 years ago. So there was, and that's why I'll give the credit to the president again and again. This is a real demonstration of political will, courage, and character. Because this thing got so heated at some point, and people were calling him all manners of names, we were blaming him. And some of the things we were blaming the man for, he didn't even know we put them in those bills. Because, of course, we can't sit with the president. You know, each time we try to give him an update, it's maybe 30 minutes. He can't go through 400. And he took all of that. There was not a moment that he blamed us for anything. So these bills, the tax, it's no longer a bill, the Nigerian Tax Act in particular, what we did was to repeal so many laws, including those that are older than Nigeria's independence, like the stamp duty laws. And then we said to ourselves, some of them are no longer even relevant. We got rid of them completely. Some are partly okay. We took the parts that are okay. And then there were new ones. And then we put all those together in one code, Nigeria Tax Act. The overriding principle is fair taxation. And fair taxation means don't tax poverty. Fair taxation means you shouldn't come in the way of progress. Allow businesses to invest, let them make prosperity and then share in their prosperity. Don't tax them ahead of time and increase their cost of doing business, increase their risk. So overall, this is a new day for Nigeria. I can't wait for the implementation to start, because once the implementation starts, people will see the impact immediately. It's not like first subsidy where they say, let's make the sacrifice and then we're hoping we'll see the benefit. Right. This benefit is going to be instant for majority of the Nigerian people.
At least Mr. Taiwo Yedele can rest now. Too many dragging here and there. Federal revenue agencies face shake-up as Tinubu signed tax bill. The president on Thursday signed into law 4 tax reform bills, declaring that it signals Nigeria's readiness for modern economic growth and international investment. And following Tinubu's assent to 4 tax reform bills, key revenue-generating agencies, including the Nigeria Customs Service, the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, and several federal ministries and agencies, may lose their tax collection mandate. The development, which establishes the Nigeria Revenue Service as a sole body responsible for collecting federally chargeable taxes, is expected to trigger major restructuring across the federal revenue architecture. The president acknowledged the complexities involved in the tax revenue reform, but praised stakeholders for demonstrating leadership and courage through the process. Let's talk about this, tax reform bill, which says we'll bring ease of doing business, further break down some of the skirmishes surrounding taxes in Nigeria, and maybe a central pause, so it's not heavy. You're not paying this there, you're not paying that here. Taiwo Yedele says it's not going to be like full subsidy where you all have to sacrifice until you see something. But the result of this will be instant, with expectation that when this eventually start operation, like the chairman of the FIRS said in the report, that we don't take such decision mid-year. You start at the beginning of a new calendar. Let me get your view on this and further break it down for the average Nigerian. Someone says, does this mean I won't be paying payee on my salary? I know that baby items and some other things will be zero VAT and so on and so forth. All of that's still written in English, but you know what? Not all Nigerians can really comprehend, yet we all are still Nigerians. So we must break it down for everyone.
Well, the truth of the matter is I'm not a fan of those two guys you just mentioned, their names. They came up with all sorts of spurious things in the bill. Thankfully, the National Assembly, especially the House of Representatives, knocked those things out. Number one is that they wanted to take VAT from 7.5% to 15%. That is a crime against poor people, in my opinion. Nigerians are poor already. I don't know if you're aware of the current report going around on that. Nigeria is the 12th poorest country in the world. If you look at how much is going around in the country, not the size of the economy, but what people have as disposable income. And in such same country, you are saying that you want to move VAT from 7.5% to 15%. You have already lost it, in my opinion. That is that. Number two, they came up with something I can describe as a crime. They said they now want to rewrite the sharing formula, the revenue sharing formula. And they did it in a way that if we are generating VAT, let's say to the tune of 1 trillion, Lagos would have had, let's say, maybe 600 billion. And all the remaining 35 states, even the FCT making 36, no, we are 37 in this particular instance, they'll now be fighting over the remaining 400. I mean, that doesn't make sense to me. And again, I have a very, very big concern. I was hoping that the House of Reps or the Senate was going to do something meaningful about this, but unfortunately they didn't do that. They didn't do that. And that's where you are going to put all the revenue of the country in one central purse. It is not making sense to me. You are someone in the broadcast industry. I understand that you use a lot of apps in this business. Countless instances where one particular app is going to be down. Is that not true?
Absolutely.
It is like that everywhere. Even the almighty Google sometimes tells you, oh, we have a downtime. It happens with Yahoo. It happens with Microsoft. It's something that happens every time. So what if, for any reason, the NRS we are talking about goes down, their server goes down? That means the country will not be able to generate a penny. That is not making sense to me. And now I foresee double taxation. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of the fact that for most, if not all, revenue-generating agencies, there is this proviso which gives them the right to take a certain percentage. I am sure of what the FIRS takes. I'm sure of what the NMDPRA takes. It's around 4%. Now, let's say you are having a business with NUPRC and they take 4% of what belongs to them. Now, they are still going to take 4% of what belongs to them, but FIRS is still going to take another 4% because the money is coming through them, but via NUPRC. NUPRC is going to take its 4%. FIRS is going to take it, now 4%. Making it 8%. How does that make sense? That is not making sense. So as far as I'm concerned, there is nothing to celebrate in this nonsense. It's about finding a way to enrich some agencies at the expense of the
others. All right, we have some calls on the line. Let's start taking them in. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from?
This is Adirunke from Muslim.
All right, good morning, Adirunke.
Concerning the tax reform bill signed by the president has made a bold step by signing the tax reform bill. And if this tax reform bill is being implemented with sincerity, this bill could truly promote fairness, simplify the tax system, and increase transparency. But we Nigerians are watching. We don't just need a signature. We need real impact in the lives of ordinary citizens. So we hope that the reform work for the people, not just for the system. That's my own take.
All right, thank you so much, Adirunke. Let's take another call here. All right. Okay, we lost that call. Please do call us back. Yeah.
We can also see the vigor the president injected into passing this bill.
Yeah.
Why is he not doing that as regards state police?
State police.
That is what I want to see.
All right. Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
Okay, my name is Boluwatise from Okiayo.
Right,
so quickly on the tax issue, what I want to ask is this: where does this leave all these local government taxes. I saw on Instagram, right, in Ekiti, where the local government was asking a woman selling okrika in a shop to pay 40,000 naira as local government tax. So this tax reform, how is it supposed to help people like this? And secondly, I don't think Nigeria's tax problem is with poor people or middle class people. It's with the rich people that refuse to pay tax. So how does this tax reform address it? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I know Taiwo Edele referred to something like that in the voice that I played, that you see that if you have access, you may not even pay tax. And so we continue to tax
Minding
poverty.
what's on the ground, how does he intend to change that?
Let's take this call before we
Nobody's
answer
saying
Boluwatife's question about local government taxes and the likes. Hello, good morning. All right. Okay, let me take your thought.
In Nigeria of today, the president has the power to say, okay, Mr. Ayo, you are my friend. If you are bringing any consignment of which the duty on it is going to be 400 trillion, I'm just saying this for the sake of this conversation, I as the president can say, don't pay a penny. It's like that. And they're not saying anything as regards that. That is why a lot of companies avoid paying taxes. A lot of them have interests, a lot of these companies have backing from people in government, and they use that advantage to say we are not paying taxes. A lot of them that I know, a lot of them who are doing well. Most of Nigeria, in fact, I don't want to say most, but almost all of Nigeria's billionaires are enjoying this. These are the things we want them to fix. Not that you now begin to say things that you cannot even begin to prove. It's not the best for the country.
Hello, good morning to you.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
What's happening this morning?
Hello, good morning. We can hear you loud and clear. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Hello, good morning. All right, we can hear you actually. You can use the alternative number 0911 3333 893 or call 0915 333 893. Let's answer that Boluwatife's question because I think it's very important.
What as regards what the local government collects.
It's because this is supposed to further ease Nigerians.
What I want is a scenario where some people are going to be exempted totally. People carrying loads for people, we call them alabaru. They pay taxes.
And of course, if you go to Bodija market, you see a lot of taxes, whether formal or informal. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes.
Radio.
Good morning to you, sir. Your name and where you're calling us
Can
from.
you hear me now? Okay.
Loud and clear. We can hear you. Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Good morning, Mr. Shani.
Good morning, sir.
God bless you, sir. All right, yes, sir. My name is Samuel. I'm calling from Awotan.
All right, go ahead, sir.
Yes. Honestly, I used to talk about it, but I think I would like to limit myself to the renaming of University of Ibadan.
Polytechnic of Ibadan.
Oh, God. Yeah, Ibadan Polytechnic.
Yes.
Polytechnic Ibadan. You see, for me, I didn't even expect that Governor Shemakunde will go there. Because I don't even... Yes, late Dr. Oyo has paid his dues for your state, even at national level, he has done a lot. So for me, I think renaming such an institution after an individual, not even Dr. Oyo, any individual whatsoever, oh, come on, it's an aberration. Honestly speaking. We should realize that some of these institutions are our national monuments. They are our national pride. They are the pride of this country. The Polytechnic Ibadan, another university of Ibadan, and the rest like that. Now, with the remaining of this institution, just to affect the quality of that certificate, not the quality of learning, but the quality of that, the assessment, the perception of people that certificate and certificate carrying that name, the university. No, it's going to affect it. And it's going to even demoralize the lecturers. Some lecturers too that are going for foreign grant, that are going for seminars here and there, where they are taking the battle. You start saying yourself that it's now I'm a university. For crying out sake, our leaders need to realize that certain institutions should please be left sacred. We have institutions like Cambridge University, Oxford University, Harvard University that have existed for 20 years. Nobody has started renaming them after any individual for crying out sake. I can't imagine one day if somebody should wake up one day and want to rename the President of the University of Ibadan after an individual. we don't agree. So I'm only appealing.
As well, thank you so much.
I don't know if the government is possible to return that issue. Go to state. You see certain buildings named after some individuals that have, performed credibly well for you state. You could have named maybe a hall or maybe a lecture theater after not the institution as a whole.
Thank you so much.
But this one, I agree.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Let me now say what many people are not talking about.
All right.
And the thing is that I see a lot of things that they are not telling us here. The current president was governor of Lagos State. Mm-hmm. When he was governor of Lagos State, he centralized the revenue of Lagos State into one particular channel. And guess what? Along the line, a company popped up. The name of the company is Alpha Beta. Mm. They said this company is going to be the consultant to Lagos State government when it comes to revenue generation. And this company deducts a certain percentage of what the Lagos State government gets. I wouldn't be surprised should something like that happen again, because you can see the pattern. Now they have centralized everything. And Nigeria is a country that generates tons and tons of money every year. Even if it's just 2.5% of what Nigeria is making, you can imagine how crazily and insanely wealthy this company and its background backers are going to become overnight. That is my biggest fear.
All right, 0916-893-1000, 0915-333-4-893, and 0911-333-893. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you.
Sulaiman Sharif calling from Manara.
All right, Sulaiman Sharif, thank you for calling.
Morning to all this.
Sure.
That is that if Mr. President wants to bring support for Nigeria, the price of goods and services, they need to regulate it as well. Because if care is not taken, those manufacturers, they will increase their price, and we Nigerians will pay through proxy. That's my own concern about that. About the naming Badam Polytechnic, I think what our governor wants to do, wants to honor Baba Lawyer, because he's the first rector of the Polytechnic Badam then. And we know the senior crew is in that institution, but most of the alumni complain about that name, maybe because of activity or something like that. But I want to advise the alumni, we should write a press release and meet Mr. Governor and discuss about it, because Baba deserves more than Baba Lawyer. That's my own submission. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sharif. A tweet says, if your business makes 50 million naira or less in a year, you no longer have to pay company income tax. Before now, the limit was 25 million, but it has increased to 50 million. If you earn 1 million naira a year, that's 83,000 naira per month, you won't pay any payee tax. If you earn 1.7 million naira a month or less, your payee will now be lower because of the new generous tax relief. If you lose your job and receive a termination package, the first 50 million naira of that money is now tax-free. Company income tax has now reduced from 30% to 25%. And there's a new zero VAT on things like food, healthcare, education, electricity, and baby products. So if you buy groceries or basic food items at the supermarket, you shouldn't see VAT on your receipt again. That one in particular, should Nigerians consider it as goodness?
It is, but I cannot say much until we begin to see the effect.
Taiwo Yodeli already says when it starts in January, it's not like fuel subsidy. We're going to start seeing it.
Chief, when they were coming with fuel subsidy, he didn't criticize fuel subsidy then. He's saying that, it's not a bad idea because everybody now knows it's a bad idea. I do not pray they even get to the point of implementation. I want some. I just hope, because I don't have trust in them. That's just the truth of the matter. But as regards what they are saying, that's the only thing they can say that is good about what they are talking about. But let's wait till then. As far as I'm concerned, they are deficient when it comes to trust and integrity, in my opinion. So I will not say, I'm waiting for that time where everything is going to be okay.
So it's going to be okay. No. Let me touch this one before we go to the next story. A Nigerian software engineer working remotely from Lagos or for a UK or US based company and earning $3,000 a month must now, one, register your state tax authority or with your state tax authority, declare your income in Naira or equivalent, and pay personal income tax based on the applicable rate. Which is
a lot of people are going to scream out because that is what most people have, conditioned themselves to. People have found a niche to create for themselves so that they can, earn in dollars and spend in naira.
A lot of freelancers.
Yes, that is not
we'll
good.
Definitely speak up here.
My point is this: if you are saying that you want to tax someone, it must be that you have provided a service, a particular service for that person. Somebody is working for a company outside of the country. He got that through some links or stuff like that, and the government has not done anything whatsoever.
And here, the Guardian is saying something about Band-Aid this morning and Nigerian being shortchanged.
We are being shortchanged, and there is no way that. Let me finish the issue of tax. The government has not done anything whatsoever, but somehow they want to collect money from a particular venture they have not invested a dime into. That is not making much sense to me. Now let's talk about Band-Aid. I saw this coming. I foresaw this a long time ago, and the reason is that when it comes to generation, Nigeria is still stuck where we were, at least majorly, and they are adding more people to Band-Aid. At some point, Band-Aid is not going to Band-Aid anymore because there will be more people trying to get access to power from the same level
source.
of power generation. There's going to be conflict at the end of the day.
What band are you, though?
They said I'm in Band B, but talk of power supply, especially in the last 1 or 2 weeks, I think I'm in Band Q.
It is well. Let's take this story finally before we go. On The Guardian, youth group accuses Peter Obi of undermining Igbo presidential hopes. A socio-political youth group, Indigo United, has expressed concern over what it described as a lack of commitment by the Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 elections. Mr. Peter Obi, a current opposition realignment effort ahead of the general elections in 2027. In a statement on Thursday in Owerri and signed by its president, Comrade Benjamin Madu, the group criticized Mr. Obi for what it termed a political aloofness in ongoing consultation aimed at forming a united opposition front to challenge the ruling APC. We're not happy with Obi, the group stated. Instead of joining hands with others to rescue Nigeria, he seems to be focused only on himself. This is not the time for selfish politics. Do you think Peter Obi is a selfish politician?
I will not label him as a selfish politician. Rather, I would rather say he is not a politician who is grounded in the heart and craft of politics. He doesn't understand the game. 2023, a lot of people, including my very self, believe that the current president might not have emerged if Peter Obi had stayed in the PDP and had run a joint ticket with Atiku Abubakar. I strongly believe that. He ran on the ticket on the platform of the Labour Party, and we all saw where it ended. Now it's 2027. We are talking about building a political coalition, an alliance that is going to be strong enough to dislodge the current president, the current party, and Peter Obi is neither here nor there, and that is giving a lot of people concerns, including myself. Mind you, people have said that, he was pushed out of the PDP, he was shoved out of the PDP. That's a very big father and all lie. He bought the ticket to contest under the platform of the party, but he did not even wait until the day of primary before he left the PDP. He ran to the Labour Party. And I can tell you free of charge that 99.9% of the people who pushed him to the Labour Party are actually in bed with the current president. So they played the fast one on him, knowing too well that he doesn't understand the game very, very well. 2015, Bola Ahmed Tinubu wanted to be Buhari's running mate. That is an open secret. The likes of Amici and Saraki then said, no, it's not going to work. And guess what? Tinubu being very crafty for who he is, he put somebody there, Osinbajo, who was a placeholder for him. And 2023, he came out and he won. So that is what people are saying right now. If you want to become the president, why not form an alliance? You are not becoming the president of your region. You want to become the president of your country. You must extend your hand across the Niger. Work with people from other parts of the country so that when those ones are leaving, then you now slot yourself in, which makes absolute sense to me. But knowing too well that he doesn't have the numbers, like we saw in 2023, he's still saying he wants to fly again. And that is not going to
That's not going to work. Let's look at this picture. It's a photo story. Tinubu reunites Wike Fubara, Rivers lawmaker. There's this picture here. Should we say the former governor, suspended governor?
Suspended
of
governor. Illegally
Rivers,
suspended governor. I can say that anywhere.
Suspended governor of River State, Fubara, and of course Wike together with the president in one picture here. Let me get your reaction.
Tinubu is a very, very crafty person. He knows exactly what he is doing. I knew too well that nothing was going to happen to Fubara. Rather, they would rather get assurances from him that he will stay in one party or he will work for one party in the interest of another person. I mean, Tinubu would make himself appear to Fubara in a way that this is my helper. I believe too well that if not for Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he might have been impeached. So Tinubu would make him realize that I saved you. Now it's 2027, work for me.
Time to bail me out.
That's it.
Thank you so much for your time.
It is always
on the show today. That's all we can take this morning on your state. Okay, there's a call on this line. Let's take it very quickly. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Sulaiman Sheru calling back.
All right, so talk to us in less than 1 minute.
Our president, Midday Wike and Bara and the River Lawmaker, I think it's a welcome development. But don't forget, I know that the result is maybe Fubara will come to APC. No wonder that the SDP presidential candidate, Israel President Tinubu, as a someone who is half D1 in politics, but F9 in governance. That statement seems he was right. That's my own submission.
Thank you so much, Sharif. Thank you for your call. That's all we can take this morning on your state. This is Perspectives Unlimited. Join Chukwemeka and the Roundtable team tomorrow on the Roundtable for more stories. And on Monday, 6:30 a.m. God bless you. Thank you for joining us.
Please listen to this important information. The views expressed by the interviewee in this program are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of Wells Radio 89.3 FM or its affiliated entities. Wells Radio 89.3 FM is committed to providing a platform for diverse perspectives and opinions, and the views expressed by guests on our programs are their personal viewpoints. Wells Radio 89.3 FM does not endorse